I remember the sting of laughter more than the words themselves. It wasn't the first time I'd been humiliated, but this time, it reached somewhere deeper. Somewhere I didn't even know existed inside me. I was 14, standing in the middle of a science exhibition in Rameswaram, holding up a project I was proud of, but unable to explain it properly, in English. I stuttered, I fumbled, and then the boys in front of me started laughing, not at my model, but at my accent, at my words, at my struggle. I wanted the earth to open and swallow me. I wanted to disappear into the air like hydrogen gas, but I stood there, frozen, burning with shame under their eyes. That night, I walked alone on the beach, the wind crashing into my face like their laughter. I watched the waves come and go and felt exactly like one of them, rising for a moment, then falling without a trace. I was the son of a boat owner. Our house was simple, no electricity, no English newspapers. My father barely finished school. We spoke Tamil at home. We prayed more than we spoke. But inside me, there was always this curiosity, not just about the stars or atoms, but about words, language, the world beyond. I started reading everything I could, but English was my enemy. Its rules were weird. Its sounds made me feel stupid. And when I tried to speak it, it laughed back. Even in school, I avoided speaking up. I feared the giggles, the corrections, the shame, so I stayed quiet, and silence became my language. But silence doesn't build rockets, and I wanted to build rockets. When I reached college in Tiruchirappalli, the problem became unbearable. Most lectures were in English, the textbooks, the exams, even the cafeteria signs. It was like drowning, not in water, but in words I couldn't grasp. I sat in the back, not because I didn't care, but because I couldn't follow. I'd write notes phonetically, copying words I didn't understand just to pretend. I remember one professor. He asked me to explain Newton's third law. I knew it. I had practiced it. But when I stood up, English betrayed me. My tongue twisted. My mind went blank. The words wouldn't come out the way I had memorized them. A few students snickered. The professor asked me to sit. I sat with my shame, like a stone in my chest. That night, I looked at my books. I closed them all, and I cried into the pages. Because I knew intelligence wasn't enough. Not if I couldn't express it. I thought of quitting. I truly did. But then one evening, I saw something. It was a junior boy standing in the hallway, reading aloud to himself from an English novel. Not quietly, but loudly, unapologetically. He looked silly, but he didn't care, and that was my turning point. I started doing the same. At night, when the hostel was quiet, I'd go to the terrace with a candle and a book, and I'd read aloud, badly, embarrassingly, stumbling over simple words, but I kept going. I read The Merchant of Venice like it was scripture. I recited speeches by Nehru until my throat hurt. I whispered into mirrors. I tried to copy the BBC accent from an old transistor radio. Every day I felt foolish. But every night I got better by one small drop, like water dripping on stone. Soft, but relentless. Still, it wasn't enough. Fluency remained distant, and then came another humiliation. It was a job interview, my first. They liked my technical knowledge, but when I tried to answer in English, they looked at each other and politely said, "We'll let you know." They never did. I went back home, ashamed, and I told my father I was thinking of giving up this dream. He looked at me quietly, then said one sentence, "In our language, you built boats. In theirs, you'll build rockets." I didn't sleep that night. I just stared at the ceiling, repeating that sentence in my head, build rockets. So I doubled down, not on grammar, not on fancy vocabulary, but on courage. I started speaking English to strangers, in tea shops, in libraries. Even if they laughed or looked confused, I kept going. I wrote one page of thoughts in English every single day. Even if it was broken, even if it made no sense, it was mine. I joined a reading circle. Everyone was better than me, but I showed up every week, like clockwork. Sometimes I'd go home and cry into my pillow because it felt like I'd never be fluent, that I'd always be translating in my head like a broken machine. But slowly, things began to change. I stopped translating. I started dreaming in English, not always, but sometimes. And then came the ISRO interview. I was nervous, terrified actually, but I spoke, brokenly but clearly. They saw my ideas, not my mistakes. And I got the job. From there, my life changed. But English was still with me, still whispering doubts, still making me rehearse before every press conference. Even when I became a scientist, then a chief scientific advisor, and finally when I was nominated as the president of India, I still practiced speeches the night before, out loud, alone, because part of me still remembered. That boy in Rameswaram holding a science model and getting laughed at. That boy never left me. He became the fuel. And one day, I stood at the United Nations, delivering a speech in English, with no script, no fear. Not because I was perfect, but because I had made peace with imperfection and learned to speak anyway. I still believe language is a bridge, not a barrier, but it takes time to cross, and sometimes it takes years. But let me tell you this, if I can do it, a boy from a small town with no exposure, then so can you. Fluency is not magic. It is consistency. It is shame turned into strength. It is being laughed at and choosing to speak anyway. If speaking fluent English has been a struggle for you too, I know how it feels. I went through it too. But one small thing changed my life, something I still use. I've left a special link in the description for you. Don't forget to check it out. New viewers, subscribe to my channel. Thank you.